Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Jude Jets Show. And the New York Jets lost to the Denver Broncos 26-0, moving our record to 0-3. And here's what we did good from today's game and what we did bad. Starting off with the good. So Quentin Williams finally showed up. In the first 2 weeks of the season, Williams had 0 sacks. And today, Williams had 1.5 sacks. So breakout game happened, and looks like Quentin Williams, after his broken foot injury, has finally settled back in, and glad to have him back. Matt Amendola hit a 56-yard field goal in today's game. While it was called back, it's glad to know that we have a kicker that can hit long-distance field goals, and as we saw today, that is really important. And while we did allow 121 yards on the ground today and 2 touchdowns, I still think we were able to stop Denver's run game pretty well. I mean, Javonte Williams had 12 carries for 29 yards, averaged 2.4 yards a carry. That's really not a good stat line. Melvin Gordon averaged 3.4 yards a carry on 18 carries at 61 yards. I mean, that's really not amazing stat lines. So while we did allow a good bit of yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, I still think we were able to stop it pretty well. Now let's get on to the bad. One thing we weren't able to stop today was Denver's passing attack. Now, while Teddy Bridgewater's stat line didn't look as good as it did in the other games, he didn't throw any touchdowns. He still threw for 235 yards, and the passing attack kind of killed the New York Jets in today's game. I mean, it was 3rd down on a couple plays, and a receiver just got open for a 30-yard catch, and that really hit the New York Jets hard in today's game. But one of the main reasons, one of the main reasons our secondary wasn't that great was because the defensive line kind of didn't show up in today's game. I mean, our secondary success is based on how the defensive line plays, and we only had 2 sacks today. So we gotta put more pressure. We gotta apply more pressure to the quarterback if you want our secondary to play well. And we did apply good bits of pressure, but Teddy Bridgewater is just a mobile quarterback, and in those games whenever we play mobile QBs, we kind of are in a bind. But the passing game just was not good today, and the offensive line also was just atrocious. Wilson was sacked 5 times. I mean, if we want him to play the entire season, the offensive line has to block better. I mean, one of these times Wilson gets sacked, he's not going to come up. We saw it happen in the Panthers game, and it's going to happen sooner or later if the offensive line does not clean up its act. And then because the offensive line can't block, the receivers can't let their routes develop. But honestly, that doesn't really even matter, because when we had an open receiver, he managed to drop the ball. I mean, Zach Wilson today made a terrific play. Escaped the sack, was on the run, found Corey Davis open for like 40 yards down the field, and he dropped it. If Davis would have caught that ball, we would have been inside the 5-yard line and probably would have came away on that drive with points. But instead, Corey Davis has to drop the ball. Also, in the beginning of the second half, Corey Davis was open in the middle of the field. Wilson throws a pass to him. It was a little behind him. But if Corey Davis is supposed to be the wide receiver #1 in the NFL like we all thought he is, he would have caught the ball because he had 2 hands on it. I mean, Corey Davis had 2 crucial drops in today's game, and so did the rest of the receivers. I mean, yeah, they got open. Not a whole lot, but they did get open. Whenever they did, they could not catch the ball. And the penalties killed us in today's game as well. I mean, we had 8 penalties for 89 yards today. That is completely unacceptable. I mean, one of our penalties took off the only points we were able to score in today's game. And sometimes we were able to stop the Denver Broncos on a 3rd down. We were able to have a nice tackle for loss. But instead, we have a penalty. We do something stupid, and the play or the Denver Broncos get, a free 5 yards. And yeah, some of the penalties weren't on us, but majority of them were. And the tackling has got to get better. I mean, it wasn't a huge issue in today's game, but still, there were a lot of plays where the Jets could have held the Broncos to little amounts of yards, but instead we decide to tackle not properly, and they get more out of the play than they should have. So the Jets has played an absolute ugly game today. Hopefully we can have a bounce back game against the Titans, but they've looked pretty good so far this season. So who really knows at this point? Hopefully the New York Jets aren't on pace to be worse than we were last year. I honestly don't know at this point. This team just does not look good, and it makes me very depressed. But yeah, the New York Jets lost to the Denver Broncos 26-0 today. I'm your host, Drew Jets, and thank you for tuning into my good and bad from today's game. And I'm your host, Drew, signing off for now. See you later.